Brandis, passengers in Chicago and around the U.S. have been complaining about a shortage of rideshare drivers in recent months. With fewer Lyft and Uber drivers on the road, customers say they're facing long waits and high prices. Last week, a member of Chicago City Council proposed putting a cap on so-called surge pricing. Joining us to discuss the rideshare shortage are Reverend Turner. He's pastor of New Spiritual Light Missionary Baptist Church and an advocate for ride sharing in Chicago. Alderman Brendan Riley of the 42nd Ward, who proposed the cap on surge pricing. And Kevin Nelson, he's a rideshare driver and an organizer with the Independent Drivers Guild. Lyft did not respond to our invitation to join the panel, and in a statement, a spokesperson for Uber said, "At a time when we should be doing everything we can to raise driver earnings, the city's proposed surge cap would penalize drivers and lower their earnings by as much as 45%, pushing current and new drivers away from the platform. Slashing driver earnings is wrong and will make it more difficult to help Chicagoans move around the city as we emerge from this pandemic." Gentlemen, we are happy you joined us. And Kevin Nelson, I'd like to begin with you because before we get to the issue of surge pricing and what's been happening during COVID-19, there is a concern, as I understand it, and a growing concern about carjackings. What are you hearing from drivers about this concern?
Well, that's a very good question. Actually, I was speaking to a great deal earlier about that. Well, over the past year, aside from COVID concerns, just the news of the upsurge of carjackings against rideshare drivers, where they're able to exploit a serious flaw in the app where, neither Lyft nor Uber really do a succinct job of requiring passengers to identify themselves to be able to order rides in the way that obviously drivers have to. And so that combination of circumstances has basically decimated the amount of drivers. Our records indicate that the amount of drivers active in the Chicago area is down to about 1/5 of what they were just 1 year ago.
Alderman Briley, your response to concerns that rideshare drivers have about their personal safety?
I think they're legitimate concerns, and I think that the rideshare companies could do a lot more to secure their drivers. I would also argue, though, separate from the crime issue, when you have a labor shortage, you incentivize the workforce to come back to work. And I know that rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft, about 6-7 weeks ago, announced an initiative to lure more drivers back to the road. It seems to me that that offering is too weak because we have not seen the influx of drivers we'd expect. And unfortunately for consumers in Chicago, they don't have the competitive pressure of taxi cabs anymore to hold those rideshare companies accountable. But I think it is a shame that oftentimes the rideshare companies, we heard from Uber's statement, I'm sad they couldn't join us today to defend themselves. They hide behind their drivers, yet they treat them so poorly. And I'm really here to talk about that, but also how poorly Chicago consumers are being treated by the surge pricing that these apps are engaging in right now.
Before we get to that, Reverend Turner, you're concerned about the shortage of drivers and the impact it has on people in your community.
Yes, because Phil, it seems like it's a vicious cycle that's beginning to happen all over again. When we had this with cab drivers, taxi drivers in our communities on the south and the west sides of Chicago. Many seniors, single parents, single moms, many were not able to have effective services in our communities to get back and forth with transportation. So one of the things our community is concerned about is making sure that we have enough drivers. And we do know that the way this cap would hurt would be that we already have a shortage of drivers, and then many of our riders would become more frustrated, would become more disappointed in making sure that they're able to get around the city of Chicago.
Well, let's talk about, Alderman Riley, let's talk about your proposal, because it would cap surge pricing at 150% of the company's regular fare. Violating the cap would trigger a $100 fine, and 3 violations in a 12-month period could mean a suspended or revoked license. Why is capping surge pricing the right move right now?
And to be very clear, those penalties would be paid by the platform, not by the individual driver. That's very important to note. We are not targeting drivers with enforcement on this, but the surge cap is really important. I've been getting a lot of concerns from not just residents, but people who work downtown. And for folks that work later at night, nurses, bartenders, cocktail waitresses who are getting off at 3, 4 in the morning, a fare that used to be $10 or $15 to get home is now costing them $50 or $60. And they're having to make a really difficult decision for their personal safety, many of them going home with tips in their pockets. Do I spend my hard-earned money on that surge-priced fare, or do I risk my life taking public transportation home at 3 or 4 in the morning? And I think that's a really difficult decision for folks, and that's my primary concern. But limiting surge pricing on a $10 fare, a normal $10 fare, to $15, I think is reasonable. I'd like to see the rideshare companies dig a little deeper into their market cap. I'm looking at Uber and their $96 billion market cap, that's with a B, and they can't find any more in that profit margin for their drivers. I think that's ridiculous. So pitting Chicago consumers against drivers, I think, is wrong. I think the company needs to step up and do what's right.
Kevin Nelson, your reaction to the proposed surge cap?
Yeah, I definitely have one. Alderman Riley, by the way, we have made a number of attempts to ask you to meet with us regarding your proposed fare cap, but just to kind of sum up our position on that, we stand with you. We believe that passengers are being charged way too much for the rides. 150% or maximally 200%, we believe, is a very fair cap. But the one factor that we're failing to actually keep in mind is that Uber and Lyft take over 50% of the fare for every ride. Okay, so if you propose a fare cap, there needs to be a cap on the commissions that's being collected by Uber and Lyft, as well as the city, so that the drivers are being paid fairly. If there's a cap on the commissions if there's a cap on the fares without a cap on the commissions, it's going to destroy the entire industry for rideshare drivers.
Reverend Turner, how about it? Are the rideshare companies overreaching and charging as much as they are? Is it a type of gouging?
Well, Phil, one of the things we did, because as a leader in the community and as an advocate for workers, especially when we've been in this pandemic for over 63 weeks, it has really bothered many of us faith leaders, because it was something that many of our drivers have lost wages. Many of our drivers, not only drivers, but many during this pandemic have lost their jobs. And one of the things we asked Uber to do was to make sure that they looked after their drivers, because these are people, employees that have families, they have incomes, they have mortgages, they have rents, they have to take care of their families. And one of the things that they instituted was a $250 million program to make sure that they were able to make sure that their drivers were looked after and taken care of. This is something that is not overnight, but all of this, as my fellow brothers are on with me tonight, we know that this is going to take a process. And this is something that we need to make sure that we work together on, to make sure that no one loses a job at a time where unemployment across this country is at an all-time high. We need to continue to make sure people are able to work and still able to take money home and not out of their pockets.
Reverend Turner, thanks for your insights. All of you, thank you for your time and insights. That's where we'll have to leave it. My thanks also to Kevin Nelson and Alderman Riley. Thank you, gentlemen. We really appreciate it.